welcome to Hello Port Hueneme. I'm your host, Tom Dunn, and today we're at City Hall with the City Manager, Rod Butler.
Hello, good to see you again, sir.
Good to see you, Rod. This is another issue of Citizens Forum, where the citizens send in to you and to me questions and suggestions on items that are going on in the city that they're concerned about, stuff that needs to be taken care of traffic-wise, beach-wise, kid-wise, and I'm sure you're glad to get the feedback, and I like to call it's the chatter on the street, and it keeps you informed of what the people are thinking about.
That's right. Yeah, no, we really, we're getting some messages directly now from residents, business owners that are sending emails directly to me, and then you also forward to me a variety of questions, complaints, issues, suggestions that you're picking up off of social media platforms. So yeah, either way, we're getting that feedback, and that's helpful.
If people, when they drive by City Hall, they look over and say, "Oops, what happened? The tree's gone."
Yes.
Can you tell us what happened to the tree?
Yeah, so that very mature, large coral tree was being impacted and infected by a disease that is, it attacks older coral trees. And it wasn't just that tree, there are other trees in Port Hueneme, Oxnard area that are dealing with that same disease. And it got to the point with that tree where it was really impacting the stability and the health of the tree to the point where we had to remove it. It was kind of sad and unfortunate because that tree had been there a long time. It was a kind of a little landmark for City Hall, but we did have to take that step earlier this year, probably 2 to 3 months ago.
So what are they planning to do with that area?
Yeah, so have no fear, because those of you that have come to the holiday tree lighting every year, there will be an event this year. In fact, now that we're into mid-November, I can tell you we're planning for Thursday, November 30th, I think 5 o'clock, 5 or 5:30. We'll get you confirmation on that in one of our future broadcasts here. But it definitely is Thursday, November 30th, so the Thursday after Thanksgiving this year. There will be a tree lighting ceremony. We're going to bring in a big, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but deodar tree.
I know nothing.
It'll be in a big one of those huge planter boxes. So the tree will be big enough to, be a nice holiday tree.
One you probably couldn't get inside your house, right?
That's right. Yeah, no way. And we'll have the ceremony there. It'll probably be there around for,
First of the year?
Yeah, late all the way through December, and then until right after January 1st.
The community garden, and we have, let's call it a testing garden over behind the historical museum on Market Street, and they have a little plot there. And can you explain what they're going to do there, and then after we work things out, and there's a lot to it.
Sure.
And then where we might go to make one that the public can use.
Right. So yeah, the current location, we're in the works of getting that set up, and as Tom mentioned, that's right behind the museum. And we've actually, I know several steps have been accomplished. We now have taken delivery of basically their planters, that each individual gardener will have. There's a little bit of a snag right now with making sure that the area is accessible for folks with disabilities. It's not a huge problem, but we're working through just trying to make sure that if you have someone who's wheelchair bound, for example, that comes in, how are they going to access, and what's the pathway going to be for them to access their planter area. So we're working on that right now, but we're still very much committed to moving forward with it. And the plan would be to make that work at the test location, the demonstration project, I guess, demonstration garden, and then take the concept, assuming that there's a good public response, and then we think there will be in a place like Port Hueneme, where a lot of people are in condos, townhomes, they don't have, a half-acre piece of property to do gardening on. So we think we're going to get a good response. And so the next step then is finding the good location to have a a full-blown community garden in a larger area that you might have seen in a city like Santa Monica or others that have well-established community garden programs.
Can you give us, are we at the final stage of the fix of the tennis courts at Miranda Park?
Yeah, so phase one, that we've talked about here before, is completed. And that was, I believe, 4 courts, 4 or 6 tennis courts.
4 courts and 2 pickleballs or something.
Oh, that's right. And getting a lot of really positive community response to that. They're being used a lot. We've got, you know, Port Hueneme residents from other areas that have been part of the whole either tennis community and or pickleball community for a long time, and they're excited to see these courts being renovated because it gives them a local place and a nice location to play. So that's been completed for a while. The next phase, which we're calling phase 2, is the remaining tennis courts, and this is a complete rehab of the court surface, and at least one of the basketball courts. You know, those condition on those is pretty rough too after all these years. So those will be updated in the same way, resurfaced and ready for people to play, you know, either tennis or basketball on the basketball court. So it's really good to see these visible improvements in some of the facilities at Miranda Park, and the reaction is really encouraging. People are coming out, thanking us, taking advantage of the, you know, taking ownership of, you know, even caring for the tennis courts now to make sure that they stay in a nice condition. So it seems like a success story for us.
I think also at the beach, the restroom, the small one at the corner of Surfside Drive and Ventura Road, the privacy panels were put in.
Right, I believe that's completed now. So that was something that we had looked forward to for a long time. And Don Villafana, our new, I guess still pretty new, about 6 months now he's been here, Public Works Director, designed a inexpensive fix, you know, to create more privacy in that restroom that didn't trigger all of the more expensive disability access improvements and things that we would have to do if we're doing a complete revamp of the restroom. So that was helpful from him, and, you know, responds to a community concern that's been there for a while about the privacy in that bathroom.
Now at the main bathroom at the pier, has there been any additional work done in there that you know about?
Not that I'm aware of, since they did the major
Cleanup,
and painting and all that earlier in the late spring, early summer.
Now I think, I can't remember if on a previous show or we discussed it somewhere, that the maintenance schedule has been updated. And because I've been in the bathroom a couple times to look at it, and it seems it's a lot cleaner than it used to be, and stuff that looked like it had been corroded for years was, you know, taken down, and by doing a much more daily schedule, it should stay that way.
Yeah, they've definitely upgraded the frequency of the maintenance on those buildings. Still our in-house public works staff, we haven't gone to a outside janitorial service at this time, but they're just, with our staff, we're servicing those more frequently, and seems to be working in terms of the public feedback we're getting, and, you know, just comments of people like you that have checked them out and can see the difference.
Also would like to ask you, I know we have Stephanie as the new assistant city manager, temporary until you find a new one. Where is the status of looking for a new assistant city manager?
Yeah, so we mentioned in one of our last Hello Port Hueneme editions that Carmen Nichols, longtime, she had several titles over the years, but finished out as deputy city manager. Also served, I think, 3 times as interim city manager during transition points. She left us to go to Goleta, city of Goleta, as a deputy city manager. So we are now recruiting for a permanent new deputy city manager. The executive recruitment firm, Bill Avery and Associates, which is the same firm that worked on my city manager, my city manager recruitment, the new police chief recruitment, finance director, and public works director. So
They did a good job.
Yeah, they're really, I've actually been aware of Avery and Associates they've been in the business for 30 years or more. Specialize in public sector executive recruitment. They're based up in Northern California, Silicon Valley area, but they do work all over California. So Bill Avery himself is working on the deputy city manager recruitment. But that will be, the goal right now is to have someone sitting in the chair, the new deputy city manager sitting in the chair no later than the end of January of 2018. So about 3 months, 3.5 months from now. In the meantime, Stephanie Mendenhall, Tom just mentioned we have an interim deputy city manager. She started about a month ago. She's doing about 3 days a week. Retired deputy city manager who has come back out of retirement temporarily to help us out and has a lot of experience in all of the areas that this deputy city manager position covers. So we're really excited to have her, at least for those 3 days a week, kind of helping us through this crazy transition period.
Yeah, there's so much that was being worked on, and it seems like it's going to continue in a pretty good forward movement. It's not going to be stalled, and the department heads, I'm sure, are working extra to do all that.
So the city gets all of its insurance coverage from an organization called the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority, and it's basically a pool, a municipal insurance pool made up of cities from all over California. And they go over, I think they're up to 90 or 100 cities now that are members. So everything from our liability insurance to our employment practices insurance to workers' comp, property insurance on the city buildings, that whole range of insurance products and services we get from the California JPIA. We got a notification in early August from the JPIA staff that the executive committee of the JPIA, which is made up of mayors and council members from these member cities, had said that because of some employment related claims and lawsuits that have been filed over the last 3 to 5 years by current or former employees here in the city, the insurance authority was going to discontinue our employment practices coverage.
That's a portion of the whole.
That's right. Now in the rumor mill,
right.
Even with some of our employees, the concern was they're canceling all of our insurance. The city's not going to have any insurance. And that really was not ever accurate. That this is one line of insurance out of probably 7 or 8 different types of coverage that we get from this organization. We approached the executive committee of the insurance authority and said, we understand some of the concerns you have about these claims and lawsuits that have been filed. We are willing to come forward and offer up that the city will pay for basically having a deductible, what's called a self-insured retention, where the city will pay for the first X number of dollars of any future claims for employment practices, litigation, or claims, if you will continue this coverage for us. So at least we have some coverage for the larger dollar amount claims. And what that will do is buy us some time because right now we're taking a big picture look at all of our insurance coverages. That's one of the strategic action plan items that the council directed us to do. And it may be at the tail end of that whole process, we may be changing to a new insurance pool or to private insurance coverage. There's a lot of options we have. But in the meantime, while all that stuff is being researched, we will have coverage for large employee claims or lawsuits, but we will be on the hook as a city for the first X number of dollars, and that's what we're negotiating now, is what that dollar amount will be.
Want to end on a different note. you went to your first banana festival last week or two,
That's
didn't you?
right, that's right. I showed up, this year I decided, it's the first, I started in December of last year in my city manager role here, so I was not around for the 2016 version. That's my first banana festival. I decided to come toward the beginning of the event this year, so I was there for the first 90 minutes to 2 hours, and
Yeah, I got a chance to say hi and interview you.
yeah.
I also got the mayor to wear a pineapple hat for the whole time,
Wow.
and I interviewed a banana. I
Wow,
mean, my
that's a first.
career has just gone. It was one of the mothers of the kids there, you know, where they had the jumping area and everything,
Yeah.
had gotten her to come, and she had to dress up in a banana and greet
Yeah.
people, you know. So I interviewed her, and that was to have those two people do those two things, along with, I think there were over 10,000 people that
Yeah.
showed up. I mean, it was, and people were having a great.
Really great crowd, obviously a great event that the port puts on that highlights not just the port, but really shows how the port is an integral part of the city of Port Hueneme, and showcases some of the ways that the port benefits the city.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, what I mentioned to you when you interviewed me, and again, I thank you for giving me the chance at Hollywood stardom that.
And not putting a pineapple hat on you.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you didn't pressure me to do anything. So, but no, I was making the point that the city, I believe, the port's success is the city's success in a lot of ways, including general fund revenue. So, just a really all-around great event, and I'm looking forward to the 2018 edition too.
I am too. That was my first one too.
Oh, okay.
Been here 12 years and finally made
Made
it
it over.
over. Finally, I'm glad I didn't go last year. Everybody was so thrilled this year. It was 95 degrees last year.
Wow.
When they had it. So
Wow.
it was perfect weather over there.
Yeah,
Just
very
like it
nice.
is now. Rod, thank you for all the information.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. And at the end of the tape here, you'll see the email address to send your questions and suggestions to Rod. Again, thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next show.